Hello everyone and welcome back. What we look at today was the pinnacle of AMD's 6000 series of graphics cards. It's the mighty HD 6990. Codenamed Antilles, this once world's fastest GPU monster was released in March of 2011 for eye-watering $699 USD. Combining two 40nm GPU dies onto one PCB and throwing 4GB of fast GDDR5 memory, this card was aimed at the most demanding gamers. I was lucky and managed to get one for £51 or 69 USD. And of course, I did not stop there and bought another one sometime later for £60 or 81 USD. Both of my 6990s are Sapphire branded and of the reference design, which are accompanied by these two interesting looking characters. Let's get on with the video and start by a closer look at the card, and as always, also take it apart. The 6990 is a big card, measuring over 30 centimeters or 12 inches in length, and also quite heavy and requires two 8-pin PCI Express cables to run. There are 4 mini display ports and a single DVI as the display outputs. Following the same reference design lines as we saw on the 6870, it's a good looking card. Starting at the backplate, there are 10 screws holding it together. Once again, it serves more than just for aesthetics, and it should help with the memory temps. Next, we take both GPU brackets and 2 screws from I/O plate and try to separate the PCB from the cooler. This part is always nerve-wracking. Top tip for you guys, remove any GPU fan connector by simply inserting and rotating a flathead between the connector and the header itself. It's much easier than pulling by the cables. I never get tired of looking at dual GPU PCBs. It however does look less busy than one of the 5970. Cooler is heavy. There's a central fan that sits between each of the GPU heatsinks, but more on that later. The old thermal paste has turned solid. I am not joking, it was really hard. You guys know the drill, let's pour some isopropyl alcohol and remove the old paste. This proved harder than I anticipated, and I had to use plastic wedge tool to chip away chunks of it. Word of warning, always protect your eyes. Eventually, both dies were ready for some fresh MX4 thermal paste. Time to put it all back together and move on to some benchmarks. In Heaven benchmark, the 6990 scored 1380 points, beating the 5970 by almost 300 points. Running the pair of them, and we saw 2693 points. I'm amazed how nicely the GPU scaled in this test. Not only that, but we have also finally dethroned the small but mighty RTX A2000. What's not so great though, is that we have used 666 watts to achieve this, and we have not even overclocked them, as this card features a BIOS OC switch that adds 50 MHz to the GPU core clock. Be aware, running a pair of them will require a beefy PSU. The 850 watt Corsair unit that is in the test bench was not having great time. Before we jump into games, here's a quick video to illustrate the noise levels you can expect when running a pair of 6990s. We start the game testing by returning to Test Drive Unlimited 2. Here the 6990 happily pushed over 70 FPS using maxed out settings. The Crossfire was running as well as this nice S3. Far Cry 3 saw similar results, almost 71 FPS on average. No problem so far. Dying Light was next, and here we run into poor GPU utilization, where each of the 6990's GPUs is only used to about 65%, resulting in not ideal 51 FPS on average. When using pair of 6990s, I only saw improvement of 4 FPS to 55 on average. Quite the opposite. In S.T.A.L.K.E.R Call of Pripyat, we saw excellent GPU utilization, resulting in 96 FPS on average, or 170 with the pair. Now that's what I call a result. GTA 5 was sadly not too happy with the 6990, again only utilizing up to about 50% of each GPU core. I saw just 47 FPS on average, or 75 with both cards running. And as a bonus, some interesting glitches showed up along the way. Disappointing results, considering the 6970 from last week's video pushed nearly 54 FPS on average. Battlefield 3 was next. Here we saw 50 FPS on average, or 62 when all 4 cards kicked in. Poor and even poorer utilization meant that this title did not scale very well, and the single GPU solution wins again. A quick stop to GTA 4. Needless to say, this pretty much sums up the 6990's performance. Simply not good enough. 48 FPS on average was not impressive, thanks to really poor GPU utilization, down to about 30%. I really did not enjoy playing this title with the 6990. Metro 2033 Redux ran okay on the 6990, but only managed to push 18 FPS on average. Makes me wonder, when are we going to hit 60 in this title? That is, if we ever do. Dirt Rally was next. Another poor result, or about 32 FPS on average. I can't quite decide what's worse. Is it my driving or the poor GPU utilization? I'll let you be the judge. Fallout 4 ran okay and we saw 48 FPS on average. Though I had to use the Crimson drivers again, to avoid flickering issues, I once saw with the 5970. And we close off the game testing with Witcher 3. With utilization of up to 70%, we saw just 19 FPS on average. Oh well. Let's summarize the 6990. In short, it's up and it's down. As you saw with the games that we've tested today, and perhaps with the pair of 5970s from a couple of weeks ago, the multi-GPU setup does one no favours. Very few games could take advantage of those 4 GPU cores, more often running poorer than with a single GPU. Even with over 10 teraflops of compute power, I could not get my quad-fire itch satisfied. That being said, I still respect this monstrosity of GPU. There is just something about the experience of running this 1400 USD GPU setup. We all agree that buying a 6970 at half the price was, and to this day still is, the more reasonable choice. Bottom line then, I had fun. I'm looking forward to seeing this GPU again on the test bench sometime soon. The GTX 590 is waiting. But that's all for this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe, and please, I love reading your stories with the cards that I'm testing. If you used to own one, or still do, please be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.